Hi, good evening, everyone. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, good evening. You're all welcome to class. So I don't know, can we just take a minute to get back to our party members to remind them about class and let them know that we have started for them to join the call. We just have 57 participants on this call, and we're over up to 1,000 on the WhatsApp group. If possible, please. Just a minute. At exactly 5:02, we'll get started. Okay, so this is 5:02 already. So we're getting started. And for the benefit of those that might be joining the class for the first time, our facilitator is already in the house. And today we're going to be talking about the legislative. We'll be looking into what the legislative arm of government is, and of course, we'll be looking at their functions and the responsibilities of legislatives. So before I introduce our facilitator, I'm going to briefly read the profile of our facilitator for today. Our facilitator for today is Kunle Lawal, and Kunle Lawal is a distinguished Nigerian political leader celebrated for his dedication to democratic governance, electoral integrity, and enhancing political literacy. With his extensive experience and commitment, Kunle has significantly shaped Nigeria's political landscape, inspiring a more informed and active citizenry. Professional roles and contributions. As the Executive Director of Electoral College Nigeria, Kunle leads this non-partisan organization in its mission to strengthen democratic processes through education and advocacy. Under his leadership, the Electoral College has become an essential platform for promoting political literacy and civic engagement, especially among young Nigerians. Through structured models and debates, it provides citizens with critical tools to understand governance and hold leaders accountable. In his role as National Publicity Secretary of the COA Party from 2014 to 2017, Kunle championed intra-party democracy, transparency, and participation. He introduced membership systems that fostered inclusivity within the party, demonstrating his dedication to strengthening Nigerians' political parties as democratic institutions. Kunle also ran for the Senate with the Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN, from 2017 to 2019, embodying his commitment to public service and his vision for a progressive Nigeria. Throughout his candidacy, he actively promoted policies focused on the welfare and development of all Nigerians and drafted 49 legislative bills to address critical national issues. His senatorial campaign highlighted his commitment to policy-driven leadership, even as he sought to broaden the national conversation on effective governance. Kunle is also the author of The Candidates, a book in which he shares his insights on leadership and politics. Through his writing, he offers guidance for aspiring leaders and politically engaged citizens, reinforcing the importance of knowledge in effective governance, recognition, and impact. Kunle Lawal's tireless efforts to advance political literacy civic participation, and democratic values have earned him widespread recognition. His work has inspired many Nigerians to engage more deeply in the political process, understanding their rights and the responsibilities of their leaders. By fostering political literacy, Kunle has contributed significantly to a more transparent, accountable, and inclusive system. Through his various roles, Kunle was a profound commitment to building a culture that serves the Nigerians, empowering citizens to shape the future. I cannot my mics are muted, so we can't clap, but we can use the chat box to just show an emoji welcoming a facilitator. Edie, you have the mic, sir.
Good day, everyone. And of course, it's always a pleasure to be on the 17th cohort. I'd first like to say I'm not the only face here. I think I will take you, I think I'll take you guys a few times. And this is one of the few times. I think I take about 5 or 6 classes in your time. Thank you very much, Peace, for that. Peace, I think I should be wearing my glasses too during this thing, but just that the issues we have with our eyes are different. If I wear my glasses now, I need to push my laptop a lot more, much further so that I can see. So I can see quite close range, so I don't need my glasses. But thanks so much, Peace. And I think the college too shouldn't read my profile. I think everyone is tired of that right now. So I'd like to welcome you to the class, the legislative today. Um, the legislative, I need to say, so preceding I discussed the legislative, I'll first like to say something. By next week, that's the courts will have a chairman, you'll have your party people, and they will be responsible for attendance. We will no longer, and the electoral college will be rating attendance of parties per week. Whatever party, falls short, that's based on the total number of party members and total number that attended. We will be creating a percentage, which will create a score for the party based on attendance. And this scores, if felt deficient, and things will be taken from or added to. So there will be points plus or points taken away. I wanted you guys to understand that before we move. So we go on to the legislative. Now, the story of the legislative is highly interesting. Now, democracy began somewhere in Greece. And it was based on representation. Now, that representation is the legislative. So what used to happen then in ancient Greece was people would come out representing different creeds, age groups, etc. And they would talk about, the future of the society, where they wonder what they wanted to do, let's say with cisterns, drainages, baths, and, other things that went on, sometimes even to what was tenable between for marriage and etc. And this became democracy as Greece traveled on to try to, influence, because the Greece in prehistoric times, that's preceding the Dark Ages in Europe, Greece was a foremost provider of civilization. That rich Rome civilized Britain. Oh, you guys didn't know Britain was once a colony. Yeah, they were once a colony. They've done to capturing a lot of people later. And the person they colonized to US, the US didn't really colonize, but US is doing its own new colonization in another direction. But anyway, back to the story of the legislature. So can you guys hear me clearly? I wouldn't know that. Peace,
Yes.
can you guys hear me clearly? It's not
Loud
breaking
and
or
clear,
anything.
Edie. Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you very much. So, in the purpose of purporting selling democracy to the world, I found out most people were in a monarchical system, and needed to look at one person like God. That one person they looked at as God was the king. And as they tried to sell democracy, they found out it wouldn't fit, with just the representative establishment. And then, which is what you call basically the parliamentary, which is what UK practices. But, to finesse democracy somewhere along the line, a man's way of, needing one person to carry shoulder the most or wear the biggest shoulder pad. The office of the president or prime minister was born, depending on parliamentary or presidential system of government. So legislative is the bedrock of democracy. If you get the legislative wrong, there's no how you get the democracy right. So one of the key problems, apart from the fact that we play with the local government, which you learned yesterday, is the first handshake. And I always say the local government is the first handshake of government to the people. So today, you're going to learn about the legislative, which is the total framework, or let's say the skeleton of democracy. So we proceed. Now, before this class starts, I need us to understand critically one thing. We're going to discuss from the National Assembly, which is the federal, we're going to talk about it in tiers, which is the federal legislative. Well, let's understand that a lot of the things that are present in the National Assembly are present in State Assembly and also present in local assembly. And local assembly or the local legislative house is the councillors, who also are represented by a speaker. But you know how we are. We don't care about local government elections. We're not bothered whether what's going on with local government elections. The councillors themselves have not read the constitution. The councillors also do not know they're responsible for laws in the local government. They've not even done anything. I think the best councillors have done is in Ogun State, where they decided at the behest of the Eleye of Ogun State, decided to upturn a local government chairman. But let's not get into the politics of it. So the National Assembly is Nigeria's legislative arm of government, and it's the highest arm. The National Assembly is made up of the Federal House of Rep, which is known as the Red Chambers, and then Federal House of Rep, which is known as the Green Chambers, and then the Senate, which is known as the Red Chambers. The Federal House of Rep, of course, has 360 members representing different constituencies across Nigeria. The including Abuja, and then the Senate has 109 members with one from the FCT. That's 108 from the other states, the 36 states of Nigeria. The National Assembly is Nigeria's legislature. Now, one can rightly say that the sovereignty of the people resides in the legislature. Now, why the sovereignty of the people resides in the legislature is because the executive policyfied, executionary, like we taught you. But the legislative is to project the exact position of the people and what the people want to say to government or what the people want from government. And this is why it is key for them to have town halls, etc., and be in constant communication with other people. I'd like to say this. I'll try to take this class as fast as I am. I know a lot of us are fasting. I would like to wish our Muslim brothers a successful month of Ramadan, holy month of Ramadan. We'll try to conduct this class as fast as possible, so that, nobody's stream. But I'm sure this class will take us to when you can break fast, so nobody's exactly bored. So there are also basic things which most people must know about the National Assembly, of course, made up of the Senate and the House of Rep, and there are 109, which I stated, I didn't hear. However, the National Assembly is much more than that. And this presentation tries to explain the facets and functions of this great institution. Now, the National Assembly. National Assembly is established under Section 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. It is vested with powers to make laws of peace, order, and good governance of the Federation with respect to some of the matters in the exclusive legislative list. Now, some of the matters in this, some of the items in this list include arms, aviation, currency, drugs and poison, mines and minerals, passports and visas, posts, telegraphs, telephones, prisons, railways, ammunition and explosives, bankruptcy, banks, citizenship, copyright, patents and trademarks, creation of states, custom and excise duties. Wait, creation of states. Right now, we're having that conversation in Nigeria, and we're thinking of moving to 67 states, but hold up, guys, you'll be called in. I think it's absolutely ludicrous and preposterous that we're trying to increase states, because even the states we have are not self-sufficient themselves. But anyway, customs and excise duties, defense and military, immigration, insurance, labor, trade or business names, powers of the National Assembly, and the privileges and the immunities of its members, which means that the National Assembly is directly responsible for the financing of the National Assembly, its own budget, its own members, and the rules that guide its members. So you see all that Natasha, court, whatever, they go jam for where they go jam. Like I stated earlier, 11-1, 11-2. You can take your emotional positions based on she being a woman or whatever. I'm not concerned, and I'll state this here, I'm not concerned with whatever happened with them privately. I'm concerned with what happened in the house. And 11-1 clearly states that that's in the Articles of Association. 11-1 on the Articles of the Senate clearly states that the Senate President allocates seats to members. 11-2 clearly states that the senator can only speak from allocated a seat allocated by the Senate President. Now, regulation of political parties. Whoa, National Assembly is guilty of this. Regulation of political parties. Wow. Anyway, that's another conversation. So these are the makeup of the 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 National Assembly. Now, makeup has the Senate President of the Speaker, Deputy Senate President of Deputy Speaker, the Majority Leader, which means the party with the most seats, the leader of the party with the most seats, Majority Leader, the Chief Whip, who was the person who actually stopped Natasha initially, not the Senate President, that she couldn't speak because she was speaking from a seat. And the Chief Whip kind of manages administration in the House. Deputy Chief Whip, the minority leader, that's of all the parties that have minor seats, NMPP, Labour, PDP, etc. They have a leader who's known as the minority leader, deputy minority leader, who is of course serving minority whip, deputy minority whip, and then the president of the Senate or the Speaker of the Senate in the Senate and the chairman of the National Assembly. This chairman of the National Assembly, now Deputy Senate President, carries out the functions of the Senate President in his or her absence. Now note that there are other functions conventionally carried out by the Deputy Senate President. For instance, he or she chairs Constitution Review Committee of the Senate. Now, the majority leader is leader elected by the mayor. I already said that. The chief whip is elected to maintain order and general administration of the House and discipline among members in the majority party. Now, the chief whip is elected. Okay, sorry. The minority leader is elected by members of the minority party, and his or her role is to represent their interests and maintain discipline among them. Now, sittings are known as plenary. Now, a plenary can happen at state level, local government level, etc. Like I said, although we're focusing on National Assembly because it's bigger, this is also tenable down to the local government. Now, the National Assembly conducts most of the legislative business through daily sittings or plenary sessions and committee meetings. National Assembly plenary sessions are stipulated in Section 63 of our Constitution, which clearly states the life of the National Assembly is 4 years. Plenary session refers to the day, period, or time in which the legislature formally assembles for the purpose of lawmaking. A session may consist of not less than 181 days within a legislative year, which means that in a year, in a what they call it, in 4 years, the National Assembly, the Senate, or the House of Rep must meet 181 times. It's applicable also to State House of Assembly. Depending on which state, numbers are different, but they must meet a regular amount of time. There are states like Enugu, we don't know when last they sat down, except at the behest of the state governor. Lagos, they have not been sitting down. It has been DSS busting Obasa and the woman who's the speaker, who we don't even know who is speaker right now. They're all busting each other. Quite interesting in the so-called most intellectual and most politically advanced state in Nigeria, which I don't agree with. So anyway, sittings or meetings are hearing periods of legislative assembly in which within a session of legislative year. There's no constitutional provision for daily sittings. Therefore, it is up to each house to decide what works best for it. Previous assemblies since 1999 have observed Tuesdays and Thursdays as sitting days. Recess refers to long breaks of the house at the end of a session. This is distinct from the usual adjournment that occurs after a plenary sitting. Now, the powers of the National Assembly. Legislators enjoy certain powers, privileges, and immunities. Legislative powers can be defined as constitutional powers bestowed on legislative arm of government. Now, these powers could be expressed, applied, or assumed. Express powers, as stated in the Constitution, include power over public funds, power to alter the Constitution, power to ratify treaties, and power of oversight on the executive. Note that the Constitution empowers the legislature to create rules regarding its internal affairs. Oops, Natasha and Akpabio comes up again. All of you with your so-called hot takes, back to that. This is the basis of existence of the rule of standing orders. Oops, that was what I quoted. We're back to that. That guides chamber proceedings in the Senate and House of Representatives, respectively. Implied powers are ancillary to assist in carrying out powers stated in the Constitution for the legislature. Now, the legislature is also broken down into legislative communities. Now, in the exercise of their functions, the National Assembly often works in smaller units known as committees. Now, a committee is a unit within a legislative chamber that allows groups of legislators to review policies, propose bills, and report back to the chamber. One central theme is that committees are created for the purpose of satisfying the need for specialization and division of labor in lawmaking. Towards this end, most committees in the National Assembly are created in line with the existing mandate of ministries, departments, and agencies. Those are MDAs. And like I said earlier, Nigeria has more than 1,500 ministries, departments, and agencies. Now, the functions of these committees are spelled out in the Constitution and in the rules of each house. Some general functions of committees include initiation and consideration of bills, oversight of the executive, constituency representation, constituency representation. Now, there are types of committees. There are standing committees, which are permanent committees that aid the National Assembly in their day-to-day functions. Examples include the Committee on Rules and Business and Committee on Appropriations. There are special committees, which are permanent committees established by the rule of the House and the Senate with clear terms of reference to perform specialized functions beyond that of standing committees. An example in this committee so an example is the Committee on Selection, which selects and nominates members into various standing committees, like the ones Natasha has chaired and she was taken out of, etc. Ad hoc committees now, which are committees that are created as a matter of urgency to deal with pressing or specific issues. For example, the ad hoc committee on review of the Constitution or the committee on the Electoral Act, that amended the Electoral Act in 2022. Now, there are joint committees, now which are either a combination of two or similar committees or from the two chambers or from one chamber. The aim of joint committees is to examine any subject matter that falls within their jurisdiction. There's also the committee of the whole. This happens to be the entire membership of a chamber, forms a committee that is chaired by the presiding officer to consider a bill or matter of concern. There are conference committees, and this is a committee consisting of members of the Senate and House who converge with the aim of harmonizing differences on a bill that has been passed by both houses. Note, committees are powered by secretariats, which are headed by clerks, which are clerks of the houses, each of the houses, and other committee staff. To further support their work and work of committees, legislators often hire personal staff and legislative aides to assist them. Now, the number of aides supposed to be allowed by the Constitution is 5. But don't blame us. We have to, our side chicks need to have jobs. Our, what do girls call their own junior boys? Anyway, our little boys have to get something. Of course, our cousins, our nephews, all of us have to get positions. So we end up having, sometimes Senate President has up to 1,000 aides and etc. But that's simple. Anyway, roles of the National Assembly: making laws pertaining to issues affecting public interest, representing the opinions and interests of citizens and the nation as a whole, overseeing governments, ministries, departments, overseeing the government, ministries, departments, and agencies. Now, this is the process. I'm sure most of us have always wondered, how does a bill go? Where does it start? So a bill, let's say, we'll give an example. We're going to have a bill to ensure that everyone that, okay, let me give an example. Okay, we're going to propose a bill that when women return from maternity leave, every public and private institution must have caring a nursing room so that women won't be far away from their baby since they return 90 days after birth or after a 3 months leave. So if we push that in the House, some guys will say no, some guys will say yeah. Anyway, the years are more than the no's. it goes presentation and first reading. That's where that happens. Then if it is agreed upon on the house, that's if the eyes are more than the nose. Let's remember that the house already has buttons, but they like eye and no, since I don't know why. We've had buttons to say yes or no since this is so that you can know how each center voted since Saraki's time. But we still are doing yay and I. It goes into second reading. Then when it goes into second reading, then it goes into a special committee. Another special committee reviews the bill, assures concurrence between both houses, that's the House of Rep and the Senate, and it goes back for third reading. And then if it passes at that point, passage, and then it goes to the president. And once the president assents, it becomes law. And that's the lifestyle. So constitutional amendments is another, part of what the National Assembly does. But now they'll be working as two houses in together. So if two-thirds of each chamber, that's meaning the Senate and the House of Rep, pass the bill without amendments or differences, it is transmitted to the State House of Assemblies for concurrence. Now, this is different. It must go to the State House of Assembly because it's a constitutional amendment. If you remember, we did not too young to run bills. Some states voted no, some states voted yes. Anyway, in the end, 27 states voted for not too young for concurrence. However, if an amendment, if you remember LG autonomy, this failed in concurrence. Now, however, if an amendment occurs either if an amendment occurs at either of the chambers, a conference committee will be set up to harmonize the differences in the bill and perfect it so that the two houses agree and it can go forward. The bill will be returned to the respective chambers again for fresh voting and then passing out before it goes for concurrence at the State House of Assembly. Now, at the State House of Assembly level, it's simple. Note this is for constitutional amendments. Must go across the entire country, the legislative houses in the entire country. So at the state assembly level, a simple majority vote of approval of each clause by two-thirds of the state is required for each amendment to come into effect. That means you need at least 24 states. The Not Too Young to Run bill got 27 states, and that's why it was passed into law. You need at least 24 states or 36 states. Now, following concurrence from states, their report on the bill is forwarded to the National Assembly for adoption. Thereafter, the clerk of the National Assembly sends a clean copy of the bill to the president for his assent. Now, the challenges to passing of bills in Nigeria. National Assembly has often struggled with passage of bills timelessly, with some crucial bills failing to pass before the end of the life of one assembly, meaning we take too much time. And I'll tell you why. The bills in Nigeria are usually 90 pages. Let's look at the PIB bill. It's almost 93 pages or 94 pages. Going through that and getting that kind of bill passed takes quite a lot of time because of the multiple clauses and etc. You could have bills as simple as the one I just gave you as an example, which could probably just be on a page, but everybody gets it. It's exactly the same. Public and private houses, public and private institutions ensuring that there are nursing facilities in their offices so that nursing mothers will return will have their babies just down the room, which will increase their productivity, their efficiency, and etc., which makes it a lot easier. See, now I'm dashing you for free bill. You put cohort 17. I'm dashing you free bill. What's happening? You guys are not going to give me anything for dashing you bill. So some of the contributing factors to large number of pending bills in the National Assembly, apart from the lack of political will to make legislation, include poor coordination. Let's critically state. One of the biggest challenges of bills is that we, the citizens, don't even ask for bills. We ask for youth empowerment, keke napep, grinding machine, motorcycle. We go to their houses to tell them we are going to get married. We go to their houses to tell them my mother is sick, my father is sick. So for me, we don't even ask them for bills. When somebody is running for legislative position in Nigeria, you don't go to him and say, okay, what bills are you proposing? What are you trying to push forward? Instead, you say, what do you want to do? You say, I'll give you road. Road care. Maybe your work now, bros. Well, anyway, include poor coordination and synergy between the chambers that often leaves a bill passed in one chamber and not passed in another, or concurred by one chamber or the other. Now, oversight. Oversight is generally there on the executive to improve the efficiency, economy, and effectiveness of government. operations to to improve operations, to detect and prevent poor administration, waste and abuse, arbitrariness or illegal and unconstitutional conduct, to ensure executive compliance with the law, to protect citizens' rights, to ensure executive policies reflect public interest, to gather information to be used in informing or educating the public, and to evaluate execution and performance of the national budget. This oversight gives the legislative a leash entirely on the executive. But the question now is, have our legislators used this leash properly? But well, that's another conversation. We're just learning about so challenges, passing bills. Oh, okay. I think I was going to expand this. I replicate. I apologize for that. Sometimes when I'm writing, I write too fast, faster than my own head. So some of the countries we've taken this earlier. So narrow content of bills, poor drafting, policy duplicity, most of the time, inadequate or delayed legislative scrutiny. Those are challenges of bills. Now representation. Now, those are key things of key points in which representation, what representation should be. Not, I didn't invent this. The Constitution backs this. So sponsoring bills on the floor of the House, a mandate of every, not some, every senator, House of Rep, State House of Assembly member, and councillor. Setting up a constituency office to facilitate public access is not a privilege. It is not a request. It is demanded by the Constitution. They are funded for these particular things. Thirdly, regular visits to constituencies is mandatory by law, by the Constitution, and what guides them to function as in those positions. Meeting with interest groups in order to stay engaged on various issues of concern, be it security, be it NSAS, be it this, be it that, pick the topic. Presenting petitions in the National Assembly on behalf of constituents to ensure that their grievances are addressed. Niger Delta comes to mind, oil spills, people displaced in Borno, kidnapping, and UGM in Southeast, etc. Seeking public consultations and input on a bill is mandatory. These meetings are held in the six geopolitical zones. I've been to a few. Nigerians do not participate fully. I blame them, but I also blame Nigerians too. Soliciting the opinions of constituents on certain legislative and policy issues is mandatory. Now, keeping in touch with community leaders is also mandatory. These community leaders does not refer to party members at what level, please. No, that's not what I'm saying. And then creating awareness and disseminating relevant information to constituents is also a primary function of legislators. Actively participating in the budget process, not by singing on your mandate, you shall stand. And ensuring that there's room for constituents to also participate through monitoring of local projects and actively engaging the media and civil society groups. So I think I have a cough here. But now that's what representation is, and that's what the Constitution calls representation. Now, how can you take out a common question that we've had a lot? How can you take out someone who's serving in the National Assembly or who's serving in the legislature? Now, it's not easy, but it's possible. Now, note the constituents feel that they are poorly represented. I'll meet any of those parameters in which the Constitution provides for, which I just read, or have lost confidence in the abilities of their legislators. They may recall them. A recall is a procedure where voters can remove an elected member of an area council, state house of assembly, or national assembly from office. Sections 69 and 110 of the Constitution empowers more than one half of registered voters in the affected constituency to sign a petition and present it to the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission stating their grievances. Now, let me slow down. One half of registered voters in that constituency. It is clear, one half. And by one half, it means more than. So more than one half, let's say in the constituency, registered voters are 60,000. It means 30,001 must sign that petition. And now you wonder, come on, but the senator entered with 10,000 votes. Chill. He's not a senator of the people that voted. He's a senator of everybody. But INEC must also be able to ratify everybody, not fake individuals. So that's why they use registered voters. So 30,001 at least in this place where there are 60,000 registered voters is needed to start the recall process. Now, following this, INEC will be required to conduct a referendum in that constituency within 90 days to decide the legislator's fate. However, INEC must adhere to the following administrative checks. Ensure that the petition for recall is presented and is signed and arranged according to polling units, wards, LGAs, and constituency. Cross-check the signatories that appear on the voters' register. That's INEC's work. Now, notify the member sought to be recalled, stating the receipt of the petition for his or her recall. If you remember, there was a case in Lagos, one woman like that. She was picked on for a recall. I think she was the one that said something about during SARS that most people are taking drugs. So that's one why she was picked. But she was almost recalled. But so when she was petitioned, she started going back to council office and whatever. Anyway, that's how they pulled the petition back. So verify the signatories, issue a public notice stating the date, time, and location of verification. INEC must do that. And verify the signatories to the petition at the designated location. Where more than 50% plus one, that's the least, 50% plus one of signatories are verified, and the commission goes ahead to conduct a referendum. A referendum, you recall, is a direct vote that determines a question for the purpose of removing an elected member in an area council, state, or national assembly. If the number verified is less than one half of the registered voters in that constituency, the commissioner shall write the petitioner stating that the petition did not meet the minimum requirements and is therefore dismissed. Case in question, Dino Melaye, Kogi State. It is noteworthy that the recall process is inapplicable to the governor of the state or to the president of Nigeria. They can only be impeached by the 2/3 majority of the members of the State House of Assembly or the National Assembly. Now, resolutions. Resolutions, also a part of the National Assembly, which are prayers of a motion agreed to by a legislative house. There are three types of resolutions: simple, concurrent, and joint resolutions. Now, simple resolutions are usually used to express sentiments of a house or to compel a committee to carry out an investigation. A case in question of vis-a-vis issues in the Northeast. Concurrent resolutions are resolutions passed by both houses but do not require the agreement of a president. Joint resolutions are generally passed by both houses to give effect to constitutional provisions. Now, this PowerPoint was made available to everybody, meaning it's not, apart from only writing it, it's the property of every student. You can always go back to it and look at it. So it's not like it's not there. It's on your WhatsApp group. You can, not on your party groups, on the main, you can save it and always look at it and flip through. Because I'll tell you the truth, all these are taken from the Constitution. It's kind of hard keeping it in your head, even for me, which is why I'm following strictly to the latter what the Constitution says. So in conclusion, it is to law alone men get justice and liberty. It's law alone men get justice and liberty. As we crucify the legislative without holding them accountable, we have kissed away our freedoms. Thank you, everyone. I rushed through this because it's Ramadan and I remember our Muslim brothers. So I'm going to rush through this. I'll rush through the questions too. Must be inclusive in our operations. So thank you, everyone, for this class. I will be available for conversation on these matters. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Edie, for the class and for the session. It's always insightful and educating with you. So we're going to take questions. If you have any questions, you can indicate by raising up your hand. And if you can't speak, we're going to be alternating between those raising up their hands and the questions in the chat box. And please remember, keep it very, very short. Others are waiting. If you exceed a minute in asking your questions, I must apologize. I'm going to mute you. So please, if you have questions, you can. Okay, so we're starting with Aminu Mohammed Bello. You can unmute and ask your question. You can unmute.
Good evening, Edie. Good evening, Madam
Mm.
Lucas. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate your time and expertise, sir. Quickly, my questions as follows. I'll keep it short to the time frame. Sir, considering the first past the post electoral system in Nigeria and its impact on legislative representation.
Sorry, sorry, you are breaking a little bit. Maybe you take your question again, so this time slower.
All right, sir. I said regarding this legislative accountability, sir.
I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Considering the first past the post-electoral system in Nigeria and its impact on legislative representation, do you think proportional representation system could enhance legislative accountability and inclusivity? What will be the key challenges in implementing such a reform? And then I have also a question regarding oversight on public funding. The legislature is responsible,
Wait. Aminu, slow down.
Sir?
First,
Okay, sir.
can you define for your class what proportional representation is?
Sir?
You use the word proportional representation, right?
Yes, sir.
Can you define it for us?
Okay. Proportional representation, like electoral system in which number of seats a political party or candidate wins in an election is directly proportional to like number of votes they receive.
Yes, but hope you are aware that that is not used in a presidential system of government. That is used in a parliamentary system of government. Like the
Yeah,
Kenny
I'm just
Badenoch situation. Yes, so if you borrow it from the I knew why I asked you to define it. I knew where I was going. So if you borrow it from the parliamentary, why are we then practicing a presidential system of government?
yeah. All right. So the other question, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
The legislature is responsible. You said one of their function is oversight. One of the function of
Yes.
legislature.
It's not
So
wait. I mean, it's not me that said it. It's the constitution that said it. Stop saying you said. I didn't say it. It's the constitution that said it.
The constitution categorically states that part of the legislative function is oversight, and the legislature is responsible for overseeing public funds. Yet issues of
Yes.
budget padding, misallocation, lack of accountability persist. How can legislative oversight functions be strengthened to prevent financial leakages and ensure transparency in governance? Thank you.
Anytime there is a leakage by wastage, it means that the executive and the legislative are in cahoots, whether it's the appointed executive or the elected executive, because that is the only time with oversight that any one of them can still pilfer public funds. That's how simple it is. There's no mathematical formula to it. It is exactly the way it is, because it means two of them are coming together to steal from the Nigerian coffers.
Okay. Thank you. The Akili Mondi Favor. You can unmute and ask your question. Favor Mondi. Are you there? Favor.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you. Thank you, our distinguished facilitator. Thank you for such an insightful section. I just want to ask, because in 2017, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Yakubu Dagora, introduced public hearing on budget with the citizen, and in his word, He said
Go back. You said Sogara
yeah,
introduced public hearing.
yeah, in 2017.
He didn't introduce it. It
Okay,
is a mandate of the Constitution. He didn't
yeah,
introduce it.
yeah, but
Just say he further, how would I put it? Enforced. He enforced. He didn't
yeah,
introduce.
yeah,
It's already law.
yeah, thank you for that correction. So when he in his word he said that the public hearing will increase citizen and stakeholder participation and enhance transparency and accountability in the budget. So I'm just in current of recent. I'm not hearing public hearing in the budget presentation because what Dogora said is an opportunity for the citizens to participate. So if the constitution have actually mandated it, why did they stop it?
Nobody stopped it. Budget hearings are still on. They go on shortly
The
before last year.
public hearing.
Yes, public hearings on the budget. Last year, I was aware of when they started. I was aware the year before. I was aware 3 years before that. It's common if you pay attention to the National Assembly's public hearings. It's just that it happens in they pick towns, different towns in 6 geopolitical zones. So you might need to go to a particular town. Like Lagos is usually picked in the southwest. Port Harcourt is usually picked in the south-south. Um, they usually they do it always. It's just maybe we're not looking out for that, and it's hard to move around to skim through the noise. Like for now, we're busy paying attention to Regina Daniels leaving Instagram and her returning back from Instagram. So a lot of noise which we aren't paying attention to. And Two-Face doing his drama and they're looking for him up and down and Annie is unhappy and this one, it's a lot of noise. But if you want to skim through the noise, you follow the National Assembly directly. National Assembly tweets these things normally. It's a common information, that's put out. It's just that there's a lot of noise on social media. And I keep telling people this, and I always state this. If I give you my phone and you look at my timeline, if you look at my timeline, you see National Assembly, you see this senator, you see this, you see that, you understand? You see it everywhere. Do you get? But that's because that's what I pay attention to. If I pick
Yeah,
most people's timelines, I'll now see Instablog, this one, what's the name of that Goliath on? That one that is looking for Goliath on Twitter. I won't call his name. I've never mentioned his name. You see that other one that took picture in front of the carried Canon cameras to take picture and kneel down, raise up hand like Statue of Liberty. I also will not mention any, and etc. I'm following those kind of people. You cannot expect to be politically literate. I'm sorry, you can't. You're going to be listening to quite a lot of noise. And that's I keep saying it that the problem is not that Nigeria does not have heroes or Nigeria does not have people that have done the work. We just celebrate mediocrity. And that's the major Nigerian problem. So these public hearings still exist. I just think you need to skim through the noise better. I think that should be my answer to that.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. Ismaila, sorry. You can unmute and ask your question. Ismaila Adamu Turo.
Yes, good evening, the presenter, and good evening, everyone. Thank you
Good
for
evening. Good evening, the presentee.
to the presentee. Thank you, sir, for the correction.
You called me good evening, the presenter. So I said good evening, the presentee.
Yeah.
That's you. Since I can see your name and my name is Kunle, or you can call me G. You call me presenter. So I called you, instead of calling you Samaila, I called you presentee.
All right. I get
Was a
your point.
joke.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Sir, my question is regarding this constituency project. I was, amazed the very first day you said that is not to look for from a representative. And today I didn't hear you mention anything like that in the roles and responsibilities of these our representatives. Now my question is, what is the constitutional provision for that? Because
Can I help answer it so that it's
Yes, sir.
not long? I
All
did
right, sir.
mention it because there's nowhere in the constitution that backs constituency projects. And you can go ahead and check the entire constitution. There's nowhere in the constitution that backs.
Hello?
I've said it. Hello, I can hear you. We can hear you clearly, Samaiva.
All
Can
right,
you
sir.
hear me?
Yes,
Can you
sir,
hear
I can
me?
hear you. Yes, sir.
There is nowhere in the Nigerian constitution that
Mm.
backs constituency projects. It is totally unconstitutional. You can Google it. We are constituency projects constitutional. Nothing. There's no law that backs it. So it's unconstitutional. So how would I make a legislative presentation that is based on the constitution and write something that is unconstitutional?
Wow. So, sir,
I'm asking you to check it. It's not me.
even
You can check
constitutional.
it. It is unconstitutional. The constitution does not back constituency projects. And please, if you find
Being
where
and
it
then
does, you said?
how does it even find a way into being? How does it come into being? And it has sound so
That's a very good
I don't
question.
understand.
How did it come into being? I'll help you. Sometime in 2010, sometime 2009, 2010, there's a lot of talk about third term for a particular president. And at that point, legislators were a lot smarter than they were now. And at that point, the president needed the backing of the National Assembly to institute a third term because he wanted to fly over election and institute third term for the president in Nigeria. So he gave them money, but they were not as brazen as these days where they just give each senator 1 billion naira. Now that was early democracy. They were quite focused. So the only way they could do it was give them some money and say they should go and execute projects in their constituency.
Wonderful.
So that it will show the magnanimity of the president.
Yeah.
Well, Nigeria, anything that they say give them money, it's just like now. If let me break it down, let everybody laugh. This birthday now, instead of giving your girlfriend or wife, instead of giving her a gift, you give her a dollar bouquet of $20,000. Next verse, you're going to give that. No matter what, if you like buy a car, you must still give that dollar bouquet. And so as we instituted that thing, it has continued across governments. It's not backed by anything. It's totally wrong. And you know what they've done? They've so been tricky about it because they've made us, the people, only see them for constituency projects. So we kind of demand it, but it's not constitutional. You can Google it. There's no constitutional backing to constituency projects. It's non-constitutional, and they know.
Now,
But they've
sir,
taught you to like it.
Exactly. Now, as a people now, or as a country, how can we go back? As in, how can we? Yeah.
So that's the fight that I'm having now. So I'm spending quite a lot of time educating people that it's non-constitutional and then teaching them to demand other things so that they don't demand that. Can maybe drag one or two of them along the line, which they found they can't escape from it. But it's going to take the rejuvenation of the Nigerian mind for us to get out of this.
All right.
Because we demand it now.
Exactly. So thank you for that response, sir.
No, what is that?
Glory. Gloria J. Bayo, please, you can unmute and ask your question.
All right, thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for the
Good evening, Glory.
Yeah, all right. So my question now is regarding the bill passage. Recently, it wasn't recently actually. I think it was in the Ninth Assembly, the approval for the establishment of some colleges to upgrade to university, the likes of Yabatech becoming a federal university. So it has been sent across. It has been passed. It has gone through the third reading and has been sent across to the president to assent to it for signature so that it can be passed into the law. I think that was when Buhari was in the Ninth Assembly. So recently we heard the news that it has been approved by the president. So there was a lot of controversies.
Assented.
No, what the news mentioned was that it was approved. There was
Are you
nothing.
listening to journalists? It's assented.
Oh, okay. All right. Because immediately we got the news of the assented, the what was it called? The Minister for Education visited the college. He had some meetings with the college people and the like. So people are now asking me, well, like, bro, how far now? This thing that I said, see, look at it has been assented. The Minister of Education have visited the school. So I think the necessary things is for the NUC and the likes to visit the school for some investigation and the other stuff. So that's what I'm just trying to confirm. Thank you, sir.
First and foremost, I'll tell you something. I don't consider bills to create College of Education or turn Yaba Tech to anything as bills. For me, that's utter rubbish. It's not done anywhere in the world except in Nigeria. And it shows the lackadaisical attitude of legislators fully and their total poor intellectual capability to consider moving a school in other climes. If you're going to do that with a school, it's just like it's not called a bill, it's more like an order. Do you understand? The legislative order which goes to the president or assented, and it's not called a bill. Only in Nigeria do they call that a bill. Does it even make sense? Turning Yabatek to this thing a bill. Does that make constitutional sense? And so, pardon me, I'm lost in that noise. Totally lost in that noise, being honest.
Emmanuel Godwin, can you unmute? Emmanuel Godwin, I've asked you to unmute.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Emmanuel Godwin Chukwud. I represent the good people of NNPP. I'm from Imo State. I sincerely appreciate you, Mr. Kunle. You've been doing a very nice and a wonderful job educating us. I believe with your likes, our nation will be great again. Sometimes I don't know where our nation is heading to. I don't know where our nation is heading to because even our current legislators don't even know the rudiments of this job, but they are just doing it. A lot of them are not just enlightened. I've heard some certain things we said here. Even the last guy that spoke here, that they turned Yabatech College to university. Those things are not bills. And as you said it, but some of our legislators will tell them that those things are bills. This one, that one, though. Some of those things, the poor knowledge of all these things is just our problem. And I believe in no distant time, everything will be in its shape. So please, I really want to appeal that this particular topic, because this is the place we are having issues in Nigeria. If the legislators understands their job, I believe they will help the executives, and the executives also will sit up. Let's just please, if you can help us, please shift this topic so that you will also give us elaborate more or discuss more about this particular topic, because I'm very much interested in this topic. There are some certain things we need to talk about this topic. I just came back from office and just joined the meeting, so I was not some certain things I wanted to ask. I may not ask it because of time. So please, I want you to help us so that we'll discuss more about this topic. Then another thing, this is an appeal, please. Then I want to ask, between the majority of the House and the judiciary, who has more power to install a suspended speaker? Thank you so much.
First and foremost, you are talking of the Lagos issue, right?
Not just the Lagos issue.
Okay. Generally. Okay, let me
Yeah,
try and help and answer
let's
that. Let me try and help and
let's
let
not
me try and help.
let's not
No,
join it. Just say something.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, according to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, just as the same with election, INEC is empowered with the mandate of delivering an election, not courts. Courts started with Amici in 2015, and since then we've not known peace in Nigeria. Same with the judiciary interfering in State House of Assembly. It is clear to the Constitution that the state houses of assembly choose their own speaker. In cases where they do not resolve is why they have to go to court, which I feel is absolutely unnecessary. Because, like in the case of Lagos, and I don't want to join issues with Lagos, but we have to mention it, so that we can understand what I'm saying. In the case of Lagos, they were behind impeaching Obasa. They have appointed a new speaker who they are solidly behind. You cannot go to court and receive a conjunction that's contradicting the laws of the House and saying that is a democracy. It's not. It's if a party is influencing what goes on in the House because it's the majority, why don't they move it to a vote? And if it's in the vote of the House and the House says they want this woman, you have no business prying. So the judiciary has no jurisdiction except in a case where it cannot be resolved, which Lagos is trying to show. But I don't understand what cannot be resolved because in the end, he was impeached. He was grossly impeached. And if he was grossly impeached and the new person was directly appointed, I don't see where the problem is. But Nigerians must go to court to inflict what does not need to be inflicted on our democracy. And for me, I find going to court, in my personal opinion, very wrong. The judiciary has no jurisdiction, especially when the House did it legally.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Another question. We're in an assembly.
Yeah, Manuel, I've given you enough time. You've asked so let's take others, then we'll come back to you again, right?
Just this question, please. Just this question.
I allow you ask this one, right? I'm not saying we're not going to take your question, but we'll come back to your question, right? Let's take others, then we come back to your question.
All right, no problem.
Christopher, you can unmute. Christopher Ejiofor.
Wait, please, there's no girl at all.
Okay, for those raising of their hands, there's no female, Edie. I can't see
How
anything.
is that even possible? That's how they will now go and be behaving like Natasha and misbehaving in Senate House. And Natasha is my friend, though, so if I say something, I'm not saying it personally. Go and be misbehaving in the House. This is how it starts.
You're just preparing.
Yeah, preparing to go and cause problem in the House.
So far, you can unmute and ask your question. If Christopher is not there, please let's take Danjuma. Kenneth, Amalam.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello, good morning. Sorry, good evening, everyone, and good evening, Mr. Lawal. I must commend your brilliance. Thank you for the enlightenment. So far, it's been an interesting class. The question is regards the constituency allocations you made mention of. You said it was not backed by the Constitution. So I just wanted
Nigerians, I repeat, only Lawal did not see. The Constitution does not have any provision for the constituency projects. If you can find it, bring it to us. We'll accept and I will not say it.
I didn't say
I just don't want you to say I said.
That's what I'm saying. Courtesy you now. I know. There's no provision for that in the Constitution. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. I didn't say you made that up. Courtesy you, I know today. So the thing here is that, should I say, as a matter of question now, should I say, is that why most of these legislators are so frivolous in spendings? Because you get to know they are being given humongous amounts for constituency project, yet they don't account for that. And then I feel accountability is very, very paramount.
how would there be accountability for something that is non-constitutional? Where is the accountability coming from when it's not even backed by law? Do you understand?
Yes, I do. So the question here is, how do you think is very possible? Because I feel it is in the constitution to recall back your representatives. So I think from Plateau State here, because I'm from Plateau State, we've tried to recall a member from the National Assembly, but then it turned out to be void. So does that mechanism really work? That's my question.
It works, but remember that it is easier to choose well in 4 years. Choose well when during elections than to start to do it's just like now, bros. Everybody's marrying, go marry wife. Next thing, you now meet someone. No, if I explain this now to look as if, okay, whatever, let's not use wife. Like now, let's say you bought a new phone. It's true now. Before
So I
women will come
understand.
out my head in this
I
in this
understand
place,
what
I'm
you're trying to say.
delicate with what I'm saying. So you can imagine you bought iPhone 15 in September. Man, October, iPhone 16 comes out. You're now confused. It's hard. Of course, you spend more money buying iPhone 16 because you were not patient. Do you understand? So I feel we should be better with our choices. Recalls are hard. It takes a lot of strategy. It takes a lot of thinking. It takes a lot of willpower. It takes a lot of manpower. It takes a lot of organizing. It takes a lot of finances. I've tried recalling. It's not exactly an easy process. I must make it clear that the Constitution backs it. It leaves it there. But for me, what's key is that why don't we make the right choices before we talk about, and don't vote somebody because you say it's good. Like now, Peace will say she's running for office. You just say, I saw Peace in electoral college. Tasa Glashi, come on, Tanada Peringini, Muzave Tamana. For those that don't understand what I said in Hausa, I'll change to English. So you see Peace. Peace is part of the electoral college. She wore glasses. You say she has a good heart. You now vote for Peace. Peace will now enter there, and the first thing Peace does, G class, Peace 01, Peace 02, Peace 03, Peace 04. And Peace will give out 600 grinding machines. Hey, it's working. So why don't you have a case? And that's what we're trying to propose now. Why don't you have a case where I come to you and then I say I want to run for Senate, and you now ask me, what bills are you planning to put in the House? What will be of national interest to you? What will be of state interest to you? And what will be of local interest to you? So I need to know that. Then I can make my choices on who I pick to represent me in the National Assembly. I think those are the mistakes we are making. Instead of trying to rely on medicine after death, recall. Do you understand? Because even in America, I recall it's hard. Do you understand? It's not that's not possible, but it's hard. So why don't we just make the choices right at first? Instead of
So in
saying
a
no,
nutshell, you mean it's easy to do than to undo in the Nigerian politics?
yes, it's easier to do. So why don't you just make a better choice? Don't say, no. Two daga forests. Look, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm speaking outside. Just say sorry. I just put I need to speak outside just now. So please, you now say it's the turn of those from Feringada. Do you understand? And if the person is not from Veringada, you don't want to hear. Or like, let me even zone it down to Plateau. Plateau collect this sub. Is the turn of Catholics, or is the turn of Anglicans, or is the turn of Equa? Is the turn of this? Is the turn of that? Do you understand? Is the turn of this? And that's where problem will start. Do you get? So when you've gone to Equa, maybe the people that have come out in Equa, none of them has read the constitution, none of them has read anything, but it's Equa you want to do this thing.
Their turn. So you must choose one of the bad
choose one. Why?
Putting yourself in a constraint.
I don't believe in federal character. I don't believe in rotational anything. Get the best person to do the job. All of us will enjoy. I do not believe. I totally do not believe. And Danjuma, I don't know what you did. I started speaking Hausa. I apologize. I should have spoken Hausa. I changed what I said to English. You have made me speak Hausa. You have revealed that I cannot speak Hausa.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peace, for the opportunity to speak out.
No problem.
You're welcome.
All right.
Abidi, thank you for on taking Plateau on.
I'm
Okay, so
subbing you people with Equa and Cooking and Anglican and Catholic.
okay, so we're going to take a question from the chat, right? Okay, we have a question from Olaleke Oluwaseyi.
Hey,
What is the
peace. Olaleke. Olaleke. Hey.
Oluwaseyi? What is the difference? What is the difference between the Senate and the House of Rep?
Huh?
I don't know why
Somebody's
this person
asking
is
this
asking.
question. Okay.
Okay, let me take
It
another
said,
question so you just together.
eh? Is
Should I
it?
take another question so you
No,
take
no,
the
no,
two?
no. Let me just answer that. It's very simple. So the Senate is mango. It's on top of the tree. The House of Rep is watermelon. It grows on the ground. One is the higher house, one is the lower house. I think that's the simplest way to put it.
Okay. Thank you, Dee. So we have this question from Pam and Pam Bagos. My question has been okay in respect to constituency projects.
Okay, it's Pam's question. You can see, Abby. This is the problem. But
Okay,
please,
we have
these are the
another
issues.
one.
Why are
Seeing
you
one from
seeing Pam's question? Why are you seeing Pam's question? These are the problems. I'm just joking.
Okay, Edie, we have one question from Mohammed Lawal. He says, regarding the recall issue, in a situation whereby a constituency has a large number of dead people in the register, how can the voters tackle the issue of one half of the registered names while planning to recall?
Since you know more than INEC, it's not best to first inform INEC that they have dead people in the register. When you do that one and INEC ratifies the register, then you proceed with your recall. It's simple. Did you guys hear me?
Yes, Edie. Okay, so we have, a major challenge. No, you've responded to that. We have another one from Gideon Musa Ayuba. He says, looking at the enorm, enormity. Okay, sorry. Looking at the enormity of the process of a recall of a legislator, I was wondering and contemplating if it is really achievable to successfully recall an underperforming legislator. This is a repeated question. Okay, so we'll take Akachuku. Akachuku, you can unmute and ask your question. Akachuku, Mark Fred, Ijoma.
Okay. Oh, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you. Eddie, thank you so much. This section has been so enlightening. I've been listening, and it's very mind blowing knowing all these things. What happens like in our nation. So my name is Akachuku Macfred. I represent APCA Party. I'm from Imo State, and I'm a Nigerian. And I love Nigeria also. So I have two quick questions. Talking about the legislative and all that has been said so far. Um, do you think that this present or our present legislative system in Nigeria and across the state and the local government area? Because now I even come to understand that the councillors are even part of maybe one of their works is also to function as like a legislative in a different local government. And believe you me, I don't even know that, and I don't even know my councillor. I quickly browse online now to even check who is my councillor in my community and area. I didn't even the name is not even there. I couldn't see the person. I didn't see any effect on that. So do you think that there should be a revamp, there should be a total overhaul of our legislative system? And do you think they are doing their work in terms of fighting corruption, like insecurity, and then making sure that our economy like is being developed. Also, sir, the legislative arm also like and the judiciary arm. I'm bringing forth the example of Nnamdi Kanu now, whereby the judiciary have already like allowed him to have declared him free and then acquitted. Like, and the Nigerian system is still holding him down. Do you think that the legislative arm also have a major role to play in terms of talking through to power, or are they also being maybe like I'm talking about the federal level, like are they being also brought over by the legislative arm that maybe they don't have anything to say, like they just come and promise us that maybe they are working on it and then maybe nothing is being done like on their own part. I don't know if you understand my question, sir.
The question is confusing, and at the point you mentioned Nnamdi Kanu, you are taking it to another level. First and foremost, I'll say if you've read the Constitution, in matters of treason, and whether you like it or not, it's treason to the Nigerian state. In matters of treason, most rights of individuals are suspended. And you can look at the case of Snowden in the US and etc. Nnamdi Kanu is any sectionist agenda is treason to the sovereign state of Nigeria. And those are the laws of Nigeria. I wouldn't expect the legislative to take any action on it because they know the laws, everybody's clear on the laws of treason. Secondly, you were referring to the Electoral College and issues around whether I think our whole process. I don't think there's a problem with the process in Nigeria. I don't think there's a problem with the system of democracy in Nigeria. But there is a problem with followership and leadership. That's where the problems are. There's no problem with the process. The process, when it has been made to work, has actually proved to do a lot of things that have changed Nigeria. It's put quite a lot of things in concept in perspective, and it's kept the unity of Nigeria. But now, when you talk of the issues that we're facing, they're usually an issue of followership and an issue of leadership. The followers don't know how to follow, and the leaders don't know how to lead. And the reason why we don't have good leaders is because we have bad followers. And the reason we have bad followers is because we have bad leaders. It's sort of the cat before the horse or horse before the cat issue. But anyway, the whole thing is that we're not in the market with the cat or the horse, which is the issue. And like I said, we must be considerate of those fasting. I want to end this class by 6:30, if that's okay with everyone fasting. I'm going to take the next 3 questions. I'm going to spend 20 seconds. Please mark it. I'm going to spend 20 seconds each delivering their question. I'll answer the 3 of them, and then we'll try and shut the class down before 6:30. I believe that's good enough.
Okay, Edie. Okay, so 20 seconds. We have Ibrahim Umar. Ibrahim Umar, you can unmute and ask your question.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, my question. Thank you very much, Mr. Kule. And I really love your passion in governance and politics, as you have contested in FCT. Then, track record. My question is there any constitutional backup regarding the leadership of the 2 chambers, that's the red chamber and the green chamber? Like, is there any executive, is there any space or portion in the constitution where the executive has a say to interfere into the leadership of the Senate?
No. Let's not even go into that. They do not have. Constitution does not allow. Constitution strongly backs separation of powers, and separation of powers is total disconnect between the executive, judiciary, and the legislative. I would answer that
quickly. Okay, but Sorry, sir.
You have 20 seconds, and those 20 seconds are gone. Remember that we're trying to ensure that we close this class by 6:30.
Yes, sir. But sir, I'm seeing the executive.
No, but 20 seconds. I've answered your question. If the executive does anything, it's because the legislative allowed it. It's not because that the constitution allows for any dilly-dally.
Okay, Karaga, can you unmute and ask your question?
Evening.
Karaga, Karaga, okay, if Karaga is not there, please, Adam, Kadri, unmute and ask your question. Good evening.
Can you hear me, please? Okay.
Yeah, Lo, you need to talk up.
Okay. My question is concerning the constituency project. So that you said is non-constitutional.
I didn't say. The constitution
So
said
like,
it's not
yeah,
constitutional.
yes, constitution said it. Thank you, sir. So apart from for the legislators, apart from sponsoring bills and all that, what are the other ways they can get closer to the people at their constituency, to the communities? What are the other ways they can benefit? The communities can benefit from them. Let's
I
assume they are not.
think I critically, and I think you need to go back to the PowerPoint. I critically showed the functions of the legislative clearly, oversight functions. I clearly stated its roles and responsibilities. So go back to the PowerPoint. That answer is there. I've spoken about it extensively in the lecture. It's in the PowerPoint. Just take the PowerPoint from the group. You'll find it there. Please, can we move to the next question? Let's do this quickly now. People that are fasting, let's be considerate of them.
Bada Aziz Akinola.
Akinola.
Kai. Are you there? Bada Aziz Akinola.
Akinola.
You're not there if I wrongly pronounce your name. If it's not there, let's take Tefa.
Hello. Okay, hi. Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Hello,
good evening.
Good evening, Tefa.
Yes, sir.
Tefa, you can go ahead. Oh, yeah, you're muted.
I'm muting.
Okay, I'm still yes, I'm still here. Peace. Thank you for the opportunity. I have a question. I want our ED to elaborate on the powers of the legislative and the judiciary because something happened in my state, Benue State. A chief justice of the state there was a motion at the state assembly to remove a chief justice, and subsequently some members of the said assembly went back to deny the motion. So it was looking more like a conspiracy. Subsequently, the state convened an emergency plenary where some of these assembly members were suspended. Now it seems to be chaos because I got information that the National Judiciary sent a message that the state assembly does not have the powers to remove a state CJ. So it's been confusion, information, and misinformation. So I just want to know where the powers of the legislative extends in that regard, and if it's possible that they can champion the removal of a state CJ. Thank you.
The state legislature, the state legislature has power over every legislative ministry, department, or agency over its jurisdiction. Very simple.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the information and clearance. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you very much.
So, taking the last one now. F Innocent. F. Young Innocent. There. Okay, seems F. Young is not there. Apochi.
I'm here. Hello.
Go ahead.
I'm here, F. Young Innocent. Yeah, F. Young. Good evening, Edie. Thank you very much for that wonderful lecture this evening. I really learned so much, and this is this is one of the areas I like to get, knowledge on in order to engage our legislative more. So, sir, my question is, my question is what are the underlying institutional okay, sorry, sir. What are the key challenges you feel that face Nigerian legislative system in adhering to constitutional laws and representing its constituency effectively? Because sometimes we notice that most of these our representatives, some of them don't even attend sittings. They don't attend plenary sittings. Some of them are not even when they come, they don't even make any law in the whole term they serve. So, sir, can you tell us what are most of the challenges, that really affect, that?
First and foremost, so you have 20 seconds or 20 seconds. So first and foremost, you elect people that don't understand the Constitution to make laws and amend laws and then provide laws for you. That's not possible. You elect people that don't understand how oversight on the executive should work. Instead, they're singing on your mandate, PDP, or they're obedient, or they're wearing red cap up and down. That's what you elect. How would you, at any point in time, have people that will be able to do what's required legislatively? It's a dicey conversation, and you can't give what you don't have. Secondly, I think that we the people don't even demand what we're supposed to demand from these legislators. So when you see your legislator, you're asking for road, you're asking for bicycle, you're asking for money, your wife just gave birth, your wife had CS, you're throwing a party for your 2nd-year-old, you want the status of assembly to come and drop something for your son. That's what we do. So I even feel that our demands for them and the actions that we give them, but we already elect people that are incapable, and then we demand of them things that are outside the jurisdiction of their work, and we expect efficiency. It can't work. I'll say, like I say it and reiterate it again, legislative is the bedrock of everything. Everything is the skeletal framework of the entire democratic system. The judiciary has nothing to interpret if you fail as a legislator, or if the legislative is failing, the judiciary cannot interpret too many things. INEC will not function properly if the legislative is sleeping. A lot of other things will not function. Even the executive will be hey loose, as you've seen governors, Ubara doing as he wishes, Wike when he was there doing as he wishes, Pastor Governor doing as he wishes, Professor Ben Ayade the Great doing as he wishes, and etc. You understand? So the point is, you can't expect greatness when you as a follower decided to elect somebody based on your ward, your church, your mosque, your whatever. It's not going to work. It's not really not going to work. So like I said, we're going to close this class at exactly 16:30. This is 1 minute to the end of the class. So it's a pleasure taking this class. We'll try to keep our classes, and please, in case I'm not here, try to keep our classes between ending at 6:30. We must be very considerate of those that are fasting at the time. We wish them, like I said earlier, wish our Muslim brothers and faithfuls.
Okay, I think we've lost Edie. Can anyone hear me?
Break off fast.
Okay.
Can you hear me still? Can you hear me still, everyone?
Yes. We lost you for a bit.
Okay. Anyway, I was just saying good night to everyone. I said we're closing the class at 6:30. We're done. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Edie. Thank you for the session. It's always enlighten. You're always catching tables when we have your session. So thank you so much for your time. And to everyone who made it to class today, thank you so much. And I believe that we're not just learning and keeping it to ourselves, right? It's one thing to learn is another thing to put it into practice, to use it, right? Today we've learned about the legislative, how to hold them accountable. My major take home will be it's better to get it right from the beginning, from the point of voting. Know who you're voting and ensure that whoever you're voting, right, understands what he or she is going to go and do in the office, right? So thank you so much. Let's do this again tomorrow at exactly 5. Class starts by 5. Class opens at 4:45. Let's remind our other party members to join the class, and let's keep the conversation going in our WhatsApp groups. Thank you so much. Let's all have a restful night.